The world around us is collapsing, but the loving promises of God remain sure. Somebody has to talk about it. For the best in Christian talk, you're listening to R.A. Golden.
Hi, I'm R.A. Golden. Thank you so much for being with us again today. I'm R.A. Golden on WYDU93.4. And today we're going to talk about the Bundy Ranch. Standoff reveals an ominous shadow government. All right, we're going to talk about that, but before we do, we're going to go to our verses for the day. It's going to come from Psalm 146, and the word of the Lord reads, "Praise ye the Lord. Praise the Lord, O my soul. While I live, will I praise the Lord. I will sing praises unto my God while I have any being. Put not your trust in princes, nor in the Son of Man, in whom there is no help. His breath goeth forth, he returneth to his earth. In that very day his thoughts perish. Happy is he that hath the God of Jacob for his help, whose help is in the Lord his God, which made heaven and earth, the sea and all therein is, which keepeth truth forever, which executeth judgment for the oppressed, which giveth food to the hungry. The Lord looseth the prisoners. The Lord openeth the eyes of the blind. The Lord raiseth them that are bowed down. The Lord loveth the righteous. The Lord preserveth the strangers. He relieveth the fatherless and widow. But the way of the wicked he turneth upside down. The Lord shall reign forever, even thy God, O Zion, unto all generations. Praise ye the Lord." May God add a blessing to the reading of his word. But I want to put emphasis on that particular verse. It said that, "Put not your trust in man." And certainly we are being fed the very opposite type of programming, that we should trust those that lord over us. We should trust those that are in control of this country and those that control the world government. But we're told the opposite. Put not your trust in man. And I want to talk about a few things today, but the Bundy Ranch standoff is just going to be a very small, tiny part of it, so I'm going to go into it right now. But as this title infers, the Bundy Ranch standoff reveals a very, very powerful, growing threat to all of us in the form of a federal government that has taken on a whole different image in life than what she said that she was in the Constitution even 15, 20 years ago. It's much different. I am not anti-government. We're told in the book of Romans chapter 13 that we should obey the laws and support our government. But that's not just a blind call to obedience. That's when our government is not oppressing us. I mean, if we're just talking about normal corruption, that's one thing. But I'm talking about something that is so much further than just being corrupt, skimming off the top, inside deals, inside trading. Yeah, all that's wrong. That goes on beyond even our comprehension at the very highest levels of our government. But I'm talking about something that is so evil. I don't think that most of us even have an idea of exactly where this is headed. Even Christians today, you think that, yeah, you may acknowledge the fact that there is corruption and everything, but you fail to really understand the end game of these people. And these people who rule our lives, they're not all bad, but at the very top, they are completely sold out to evil. And they have in mind total human annihilation. I repeat that. Total human annihilation. We're being dumbed down, we're being programmed and controlled, and that is the setup towards eventually death. So what made me do this broadcast was I got a letter. I'm going to go right into it. Well, let me say this first about the Bundy Ranch, and I'm going to leave it alone. But the fact, and I've covered this on a couple broadcasts already about it, but the fact that weapons were being trained on innocent protesters early on, when there was just a few of them, when there was no media attention, when snipers were pointing their rifles at innocent protesters, it's passé, nothing happened. No blowback at all. When you had dogs, police dogs, being attacked or sent to attack pregnant women and disarmed protesters, when you have women being body slammed from behind, you can see the footage on YouTube, thrown to the ground, when you have behind the lines the last Saturday, April 12th, 2014, when the protesters were going to go get the cattle back with Clive and Bundy, and they were marching towards the BLM, they got on the loudspeaker and they said that we have a court order, and he said that we will use deadly force. You can listen to the audio. We will shoot you. We will kill you. For what? I mean, even legal scholars who have commented on this have said this should not have resulted in an armed conflict on the behalf of the federal government. This should have been done in court. But this leads me to where I'm going with this whole thing. And again, all of you who dismiss this as just some rednecks out in the Midwest or the West Coast, you're obviously you don't have much gray matter between your ears. This affects all of us. We all have to be Clive and Bundy in this situation. I know that situation is going off the limelight. His nightmare is probably just beginning, but it represents all of our struggle. Black, white, I don't care what color you are. These people are anti-human. And just because maybe as a so-called minority group right now, you're being protected and coddled, and you have the so-called political correctness in your favor, that doesn't mean that that's really what's going on. See, you have to have discernment. Pray God above all else that you have discernment. What is discernment? Discernment is being able to perceive something, that's the key, something that's hidden in plain sight. Goes on right in front of you, you don't even pick it up. That's discernment. You got to pray for discernment. And these folks, left wing, right wing of the same bird, is found on the back of your dollar bill. Yeah, that's the bird they're talking about. But that's not the bird that we want, because the left and the right wing that they're talking about doesn't represent us. It represents tyranny, left and right margins, and they're very tightly controlled. So, what started this broadcast on this, because I was going to move on to something else, was I got a letter from, I live in Maryland, Delmarva Power, and let me show you how this works. Dear valued customer, listen to the setup. We're writing you today because our records show that you have requested to delay the installation of a new smart meter pending a decision by the Maryland Public Service Commission. On February 26th, the Commission determined that customers who do not want to upgrade to a smart meter at their home or business may opt out. All right, I'm not going to read the whole thing. Let me drop down. Okay, as a result of your decision, those are my words, this is what's going to happen. This is their words. $75 enrollment fee. My words, at your convenience. Billed, in parentheses, at $25 per month for 3 months. Wow, aren't they nice? $17 monthly meter reading and maintenance fee. Wow. See, before we had the smart meter, I didn't have to worry about all that. Then, of course, they sign out, sincerely, Gary Stockbridge, President, Delmarva Power. So nice. But where my struggle with this whole thing started, and this is not all about the smart meter, I just want to show you what's been going on and where this is going. This is my original letter dated June 20th, 2013. I'm going to read this. It's only a paragraph. When I returned home today, I was greeted by a door hanger from Delmarva Power notifying me that Scope Services Incorporated installed a smart meter on my home. I do not know how this was accomplished, as I have a permanently hung 6-foot fence blocking access to the small access area where the meter operates. Moreover, there is a large no trespassing sign there as well. I never asked for nor consent to have a smart meter on my house. I would like to make arrangements to have it removed. And I gave my phone number. Now, they did come about a week or so later. They did come and they took it back. And I thought that was the end of it. And then I got this letter. But you say, Golden, what's the big deal about the smart meter? Well, it's everything. It represents my freedom. It represents my choice. And that's the point I'm getting to. We're having less and less choice. See, some of those of us that are informed, that research, that read, and don't play video games all day and watch cable TV all day. See, we actually go into the internet. We actually read newspaper articles. We actually read periodicals, research material on these things. Not what they disseminate publicly for us, for our consumption as a whole, which is all sanitized. No, I actually want to know what's really going on. And I know that I'm being radiated by a smart meter. I know that I am being EMP'd, electromagnetically pulsed by these things. You know, your electricity, you have 110, 60 hertz. It pulses every 60 seconds or whatever it is. But the point being that I know that, and I know it connects with the modern appliances that's why it's called the smart meter, where it interfaces with it, where data can be taken from these appliances and taken up into the smart meter and uploaded into the grid. All this information goes somewhere. I know that. See, you might say, well, what do you have to hide? I think that's the motto of NSA too. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Well, that only applies to us. We can't look into them. We don't know what they're doing. But we have to be x-rayed, and everything about us has to be known because we might be bad people. That goes contrary to what we said was our Constitution. Golden, this is a Christian radio program. Well, that's leading me to where I'm going. Because ultimately, they want to shut up Christians who are awake and aware and know exactly what's going on and try to bring people along so that they can have an experience with Christ and come out of this system as well. That's what they don't like. That's what's a threat to them, as well as people who aren't saved who know what's going on as well. They don't like that. They don't like their plots to be uncovered. But I'm trying to come out of that, and I have to pay extra to be protected from it. See, and that goes on further to my food. You are what you eat. Very true statement. I have to buy organic, non-GMO food. I have to be very deliberate in what I do in the food that I buy, because government-sanctioned food that's given to us by and large is cheaper, but it's unhealthy. It puts us into the healthcare system with gut disorders and all kinds of problems that don't necessarily trigger right away, but over a little bit of time, they start to manifest themselves. See, so I have to pay more money to protect myself from government-sanctioned food. It goes on further, and don't think that GMOs aren't bad for you. Those are glyphosates. That's some sort of chemical that was developed by Monsanto, I believe, that when it was tested on the rats, and this is how it's effective, what GMOs do is it negates the need for so many pesticides, so that when the animal eats it, it explodes their guts. And they say that it's safe for us, though. Yeah, it explodes the guts of the rats. It gives tumors to the rats, but it's safe for you. You're saying Golden, that is so extreme. I know. You have to inform yourself. You can't put not your confidence. I read the scripture. Put not your confidence in man. Don't put your confidence in man. This is what you get. Same thing with my water. They put fluoride in my water. I had to buy a $250 gravity water filter, ProPure, with special filters to get the hydrofluorosilicic acid out of my water. This is what I have to do to protect myself from my government. All right? And those of you that don't have one, I highly urge that you get one. Don't buy fluoride toothpaste. Don't buy or don't drink the fluoride water. Okay? Same thing when it comes to vaccination. There's this great big push for vaccinations. But come to find out that many of our vaccines have MSG in them, monosodium glutamate, which they also put in the food. They have thimerosal in them, or mercury, right? They overload our babies' systems with all of these vaccinations by the time they're young. Many of them now are turning autistic, and then they turn around and say, let's throw money at finding a cure. They already know what's causing it. We're overloading our children's immune systems. We're giving adults and children mercury, which is very highly toxic. And again, this is all sanctioned by our government. Put not your confidence in man. People need to wake up and understand what's really going on. See, the Bundy Ranch standoff just reveals an ever-growing shadow government that is forming a world government and seeks to enslave and destroy us all. It goes on and on and on. Like I said earlier, you don't own your property. I was doing some work in my backyard a couple of years ago, and I left the contractors for a moment. I had this notice there. It was a stop work order from the county. I had to go up there and I had to get on my knees and beg them to please let me finish doing my work, and I had to fill out a permit and a request and all of that. And you might say, well, that was the legal process to do it. Well, I was doing work on work that was already done. And besides, I mean, why should I have to ask for permission to do work on my own property? I'm paying for it. That's a whole different topic. So, and this goes on and on and on. The chemtrails, they're spraying our air with all these heavy metals, and we're not told what's there. You know, it's safe for us, though. Again, you have to think for yourself. We need to challenge our government. I'm not doing it. I'm not trying to be rebellious. I'm only trying to operate within what is constitutionally set for us already. They say it's constitutional to be able to challenge your government. Well, this is what we're trying to do. And if enough of us push back, we're not going to make it go away. We can at least abate some of this. And that's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to at least slow it down a little bit. We know tyranny is eventually going to overrun us. Christ is going to come back. He's going to save us. He's going to take us out of here. There is hope, all right? But we want to try to slow some of this down. But in short, in conclusion, what we're faced with, we're put into a Gilligan's Island type scenario where, if those of you remember the show, these folks that were out at sea were stranded on a mysterious island, and during the entire time of the show, except for I think the last episode after it ran for a while, they were finally rescued, I believe. There was always this hope that they were going to get off the island. We're going to get off. We're going to get off. And there was always something funny. Of course, it was a comedy. There's always something funny to happen to preclude them from getting off. That's what this whole political economic situation is. Just don't take what I say. Look at the news. Look at what we were promised years ago. Look at events that have transpired since. It's the same Gilligan's Island type scenario. All right? I thank you so much for tuning in. Join us again for our next broadcast. But before we leave, I would like to give you our quote for today. It's coming from Gerald Celente. And his quote goes, "When people lose everything, they have nothing left to lose. they lose it. Thank you again for joining us. We appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to WYDU 93.4, the best in Christian talk radio.